You're listening to Food Rebels, and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs, and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world, where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge, and of course, business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different.
Hello! So on this week's episode, we are welcoming Tor Hunt-Taylor into the studio from the Collective. Welcome, Tor.
Hi, good afternoon. Nice to be with you. Thanks for having me in.
A pleasure, literally all mine. As I was telling you off air just now, I absolutely love the Collective. I love your treaty fudge, gourmet fudge, extra butterscotchy, double fudge layer, treaty, naughty Friday night. Oh, so good. Can't have it all the time, but it's so lovely for a treat. How is it all going at the Collective? I just see you guys everywhere.
Really well. Thank you. No, we're on a march. It's going well. I'd say we're particularly proud of our kids' Suckies range, which is doing really, really well. We've extended it over the years with dairy-free, no added sugar.
What's a Suckie? Tell me what a Suckie is.
A Suckie, yes. For those who don't know, a Suckie is our kids' yogurt pouch. So it's our really yummy tasting fruited yogurts for kids, but with a pretty clean back of pack and as low sugar as we can possibly manage with it still tasting amazing. So yes, it's a yogurt in a pouch, live yogurt in a pouch.
Amazing. So I've got kids and they love stuff like this. It's that kind of guilt-free, chuck it in the back of the car. You actually really have to try hard to spill it because you kind of put it straight in your mouth, don't you? Squeeze it in. Although every now and then they miss and it goes in their ear or something. But generally, Suckies are genius.
Yeah, we won't mention those areas, but yeah, they are. That's exactly it. They're very much for a convenience on the go mission. And we've just launched a natural one that's just fortified with vitamin D. So for people who don't want fruit, there's also a natural one. So yeah, they're doing well.
That's really good. And it's the kind of thing you can put in your kid's lunchbox or whatever. And it's got protein and it's got live active cultures, which I guess I'm assuming are really good for your gut microbiome, are they?
Exactly. All about supporting the gut and digestion. So we're really, really proud to be a fresh and live. All of our brand is fresh and live yogurt. So that's a bit of a starting point for everything from the Collective. Yes.
Nice. So what do you think's made you? So if you're number one kids yogurt in the UK, then what is it that's made that such a success?
Yeah, good story. I think initially it was probably the uniqueness of the format. We were obviously the first people to go into for pouches, have yogurt in pouches for kids, and that just really, it was a game changer, I think, for parents. I think any parent will agree that's pretty handy, kind of answers for a multitude of situations. But then obviously they're amazing tasting. The feedback from our consumers, there's so much love, and so yeah, kind of demanded by kids, loved by parents is kind of the flow of things right now. But we've continually evolved our nutritional credentials and sugar particularly, to just try and be better and better and better. We call it, stealth sugar reduction. So always consumer first, we'll never compromise taste, but they strike that great balance between, being really yummy, but really pretty competitive. We like to say we're market leaders on that front. So hopefully those are the main reasons why.
And if you're reducing sugar, how are you doing that? Are you replacing it with a fruit sugar, or are you using like a different alternative to get that?
It's a combination.
Like sweet and appetizing for small children, don't they?
Yeah, good to hear that your kids think so. I mean, exactly that. So we don't ever use cane sugar, so it's always we're talking about the fruit really. So we have our original range, which is made from fruit juice concentrates, but the no added sugar range is from fruit purees. But then within that, obviously, the balance and the ratio between fruit and milk, etc. So it's just the kind of careful juggling and balancing of the recipe in line with what consumers want. It's more different types of fruit and the balance and ratio of that in the recipe versus milk. There are other benefits having more milk, for example, source of calcium claims, etc. So we very much take a holistic stance and view on health, not just to focus on sugar, but sugar is probably the most widely talked about, and what we talk to our retailers the most about. But we also try and balance, obviously, with how we fortify, portion size, portion control, and all those other things too.
Yeah, interesting. And it does change, doesn't it? I've got an 11-year-old boy who probably has the appetite of a 15-year-old boy. So he'll quite happily tuck 2 or 3 of them away over a day if I put them in his lunchbox. And it's that sort of like need for protein, that need for something really filling when you're growing. How do you work that when you've got, because you appeal, I think your product range appeals to really, really young kind of toddler age, all the way up to kids like, you know, my son who's just gone off to big school and actually is starting to think he's actually kind of a big deal around here, actually. You know, like teenager.
Eating his way through your fridge. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, that's the insight that our new range, we call it the adult range or the grown-up range. It doesn't say that on pack. It's just a bigger portion size. So, yeah, that's exactly the insight. We had parents confessing, those are the ones. Yes, that's our new range. So,
sent me some. Lovely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to you trying them and telling me what you think. But yeah, the new adult range is very much based on different health needs. Again, taking that holistic view and stance on health. There's the purest one, which is just, gut, so kefir blend with a hint of vanilla. There's a kickstart one that's got oats blended in it for breakfast. There's an amenity one, etc. But yeah, maybe if you're a 15-year-old, those are going to hit the spot more than the kids' Sacky's pouch, is just the biggest portion size. But they very much reflect, we kind of had a bit of a pivot strategy, I'd say, on our adult range to win in health and in snacking, because that's very much where the market demand was. And then what are our brand strengths? Well, it's very much premiumizing snacking. Also, all of our learnings from kids we've taken into this adult launch, which is hugely exciting. And so far they're doing well. And Sainsbury's have taken the whole range, which is brilliant to see it all on the shelf lined up together. So hopefully
So you've got, is there 5 flavours in total?
There's 6, and then there's also a dairy-free one, which is in Tesco. So if you're dairy-free, you need to pop to Tesco, but yeah.
Amazing. Well, will I try them then? Which one should I start with? I've got...
Maybe go for the gut. Okay, kickstart.
Blueberry and raspberry. I've got immunity, which is cherry and acai. Gut feel, kefir with a hint of vanilla. And uplift, peach and raspberry.
Great, you're not missing many of them then. So Uplift's the kind of utility player. It's our Greek style thick and creamy one.
What
it's that pick me up. It's the tiramisu of yogurt, but not as naughty. It's the pick me up for just if you want a nice, fresh, live yogurt snack. But yeah, it's that richer, thicker, creamier Greek style yogurt. So that's what I mean by utility player. The Uplift one is just if you want a really healthy, treaty, fruity snack. So
I'm going to start with it. It's orange.
Start with that one. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe if you're buying this, as something to have after your salad or sandwich at lunchtime, it would be a good little sweet fix without going the full hog. What do you think? So that's peach and raspberry.
It's really Moorish. I went straight in for a second taste.
Good.
I really like that.
That's the aim. And that's the aim. It's a slightly more kind of pick me up-ish one after the range.
And it's fresh and it's cold. It's straight out of the fridge here, so it's fresh and cold. You get real peach on the beginning. You get the raspberry kind of that slightly more acidic-y, nice, like that lactic taste on the finish. That's lovely though.
Good. Glad you like it. Good. I mean, so yeah, the Kickstart one, if you want to try it, it has got oats blended into it, which is what's unique about that one. So very much if you are dashing out the door in a crazy hurry, haven't yet managed to have breakfast, maybe you can grab that and a banana and go. But yeah, it's got the oats built into it. That's the kind of bluey, heavier. That's it.
But it feels heavier, but it's not heavier. I just checked.
No, they're all the same grammage. They're all the same grammage, just a different composition in terms of, I guess, calories and nutrients. Yeah. So it's got a slight texture to it compared to the other ones. You'll probably notice. Yeah, they're quite finely blended in the
oats texture, but it's not
exactly
as dense as overnight oats. It's as if we make something called summer porridge at home, which is where we put oats through yogurt, and and it's cold, and it's actually quite like this. Very blueberry. That's such a lovely term, summer porridge. I might need to use that on my family. So yeah, that's exactly how it's meant to be. Yeah, a bit more taking from the world of birches, and but just to give it a bit more oomph for the morning until you've managed to grab something more substantial. So bit busy, we're young professionals, busy parents, that one's probably calling you. And then there's the gut one, which is in a kind of a yellowy pouch, a goldeny yellowy pouch, and that's probably our purest. It's just got a tiny hint of vanilla, and it's that's the one, and it's a blend of kefir and Greek style yogurt, so it's got all the strains, so that if you're really conscious and focusing on gut health, that's the one for you. But also
got the least amount of other things in. There's no fruit in it, for example. So it's our no added sugar skew as well.
I really like this
What do you
one.
think?
I really like it.
This one's getting a lot of good feedback. So yeah, that's the gut feel one for you.
I think vanilla is such a clever ingredient, isn't it? Because you taste vanilla and you think, you think about a cake or you think about anything else that's got vanilla in, or a vanilla cupcake. So you automatically associate it with something being really sweet. But it's actually not. It's got that lovely sour, kefir, kind of fermented notes going on. And then you've got the vanilla. So you think it's sweet, but actually as you swallow, you think, oh, no, it's not sweet at all. I really like that.
Good. Yeah, and that's exactly, it's meant to, we could have made it plain, but it's like, well, where's the snack element? Where's the element of, I'm getting something. So yeah, that's why the hint of vanilla, so a little nod to make it feel like, it was a nice snack, but actually it's our super healthy, no added sugar play. And then I guess the other one that might be of interest, I'm conscious you might not want to try them all exactly, the immunity one, the acai and cherry. So yeah, some superfood boosters in there, and all the things you need for good immunity at this time of year, vit D, vit C, etc. So yeah, I can imagine that's going to be a happy autumn winter ski particularly, but it's so in trend right now, anything immunity. So also performing really well as early doors, but doing well. It's got a beautiful flavour profile. Tell me what you think actually.
I really like the flavour profile on this as well, because it's got that lovely lactic sourness going on. I don't know if it's the acai. The cherry gives it that kind of, that almost like palate drying, slightly tannic, but not tannic, fruity tannic, like apple skin kind of tannic on the cherry, which is nice. And then the acai as well. There's a whole load of different things going on there. Because acai is not sweet, is it? There's almost a bitterness to the acai.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think you've got it with you right now, but another one that's quite different and contrasting is the apple, kiwi, and spirulina one. That's actually proved really popular with my kids as well, even though they have sakis. That was the one favourite that I think was a bit different to everything in the sakis range that they are really I love as well, actually. So it's the green one, unsurprisingly. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. They're really, this whole thing. We've had so many guests on the show who make different types of functional food. And I don't know if you guys classify this as functional, but I would, where it does something more than just taste really nice and just be a snack, but actually that is contributing to something in your body in some different way.
Yeah, exactly that. So exactly that. We didn't want to just launch a range of flavours in Greek style yogurt because we wanted there to be, if you want to range, there needs to be a mix of value adds for our consumers and for shoppers. So we've very much taken from health trends, not even in our category, outside the category, like what's trending right now in health and superfoods and flavours as well, and said, okay, well, let's deliver against a range of what we, believe to be the consumer needs that people would want from a fresh, healthy yogurt snack. And so it's functional, but at the same time, we talk about our stance on health as a brand as kind of very much holistic and balanced well-being. So we talk a lot about mind, gut and soul, or mind, body and soul in terms of, I talked about the uplift one. That's probably actually much as a mental pick-me-up as a physical pick-me-up in terms of claims. It's more I feel like I've had a little fix, a little treat without being too naughty, whereas some of them are much more directly physical and functional in terms of like immunity or gut. So the total range, there's quite a balance of, physical, emotional, etc. So yeah, we talk about quite a holistic stance on health. But yes, I'd agree it broadly fits into functional.
It's brilliant though, isn't it? I mean, we learn, we're being educated all the time, aren't we, with all these different things going on. And Professor Tim Spector, he's been doing all the stuff with Zoe, and we're all learning about the gut health and how it affects your mental health.
Yes.
But for me, this is the really exciting bit where brands are making the learning easy, and we're not having to, go out and make our own sourdough from scratch, and we're not having to do all these things because realistically, who's got the time?
Exactly. I wish I did. I really wish I did, but we don't.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. How long have you been with the collective, Tor?
I've been at the collective now for, I think, 3.5 years. And it's been such an exciting time to have joined. I think my only regret is I wish I'd joined a year earlier. So yes, we've been on quite a big journey as a leadership team and as a total business. We've become really, really focused, a really clear and separate strategy for the UK, very much a fewer, bigger, better mantra with both our innovation and our marketing, which the whole team is on board with, and rightly so. They challenge us if they don't think that's what we're doing. So for me as the marketing director, it's been an amazing brand building and team building journey. As I said, fewer, bigger, better mantra, really clear of why we're, what are we famous for and why, and what do we want to be famous for going forward. And we've had our first ever brand campaign, which is really insight led and leveraging our very human, irreverent, humorous tone of voice. So we've had our first ever, kind of campaign, which is getting some lovely feedback, growing brand awareness, and just being really single-minded on our portfolio and where we want to grow and where we want to win. So yeah, and in quite a obviously challenging backdrop environment. So yeah,
that's really interesting. And you're B Corp certified, aren't you?
We are. Yes, we're B Corp certified, which we're really, really proud of. We began that journey about 4 years ago in terms of first certification. And the amazing thing was that last year we had an increase in our score of 30%, which was a huge and fantastic milestone. It's quite hard to do that as a dairy business. So yeah, and it's just the best framework we've found for measuring progress. So nothing is perfect. And I think they themselves are looking to evolve, not just what they measure, but how they measure as everyone learns, and theories and science evolves. But we definitely think it's the best way of tracking and comparing and holding ourselves to account.
And I'm really keen to explain about, every time we have a B Corp business on, I like to make a big deal about it, because I think for the people listening at home, it's looking out for that symbol. And I think the consumer awareness hasn't been as high. People at home haven't known about it as much as we have, perhaps, who are working in the industry. What was it about B Corp that was so important to the collective that you guys went through this arduous process?
Yeah, so it takes really not just one type of sustainability in terms of business sustainability, it's a full ESG framework. So it's about people internally, your customers, your community, also environmental sustainability, and also governance. And because you ultimately do have a score, you have, clear, where you're starting and how, you want to and could progress. And then when you get, your new score a couple of years later, you can, really see and, be proud of where you have progressed. So we just didn't think there was another framework that did take that full view, and we didn't want to just track one or the other. Back in the day there are movements like fair trade and rainforest, so that's what we wanted to be full, supposed to be a 360 business thinking. So it's very much a kind of balanced scorecard in our opinion. And yeah, we really are proud of the progress. And yeah, you're right, a couple of years ago, this is the second B Corp that I've worked at. A couple of years ago, when we first certified, we probably just about, I think we were in the 80s, and we're now to 104.5. And I'd say, 4 or 5 years back, consumer awareness is quite low about it. And so all the B Corps have pulled together. You'll see in our campaign, which was all over London and the Southeast in September and October time, we have the B Corp logo in our brand campaign posters to try and help with awareness. But it's so funny now, you go to events and you talk to other consumers or people who are maybe agency side, and everyone really does know what it is. So the awareness of B Corp itself as a movement has definitely really, really evolved and developed since, maybe 8 years ago when I first joined a B Corp. So that's awesome and fantastic news. And there's a real sense in the B Corp community of helping others certify and helping others understand. It's not competitive. It's quite the opposite. It's help each other understand, help each other certify for the greater good mantra. So yeah, we just love how holistic it is. And it's just a way of tracking. It's not all we do. It's not the only thing. It doesn't define what we do, but it's certainly a way of developing and monitoring and tracking and seeing that we are making progress. We have an internal mantra. I know other businesses our size use it, which is kind of progress, not perfection. It's quite, I think, easy especially for a dairy business or a business that sells, goods in, consumer packaged goods are usually in plastic at the moment. And, how do you hold yourself to account that you're doing something and going in the right direction rather than, you could do nothing and wait for perfection, but you're not improving or bringing any greater good or benefit along the way. So that progress to perfection mantra really helps us. Helps us track and measure.
Is it Pareto's law? Better 80% good and out the door than not at all. And it's something we notice all the time, that you can get
exactly
in that last 20%, making something perfect and iterating things to make them really perfect. And actually sometimes just get it going, especially for a startup. You've just got to build the plane in flight quite often, although you're not really a startup anymore.
It's exactly that.
It's
exactly that. We're still totally agree. We're still on the smaller side for sure. In our category, we're still really small. And so we have a kind of test fast, fail fast mantra, pick yourself up, tweak and go again with everything we do, whether it's product innovation, whether it's the marketing campaigns, even some quite, high level strategic stuff. We can pivot and be agile if we realize it's not working. But at the same time, we call ourselves the dairy shaker uppers, and we are all about driving change, leading category change, and being innovative in everything we do, not just products on shelf. So yeah, that's a really important philosophy to us. Absolutely.
That's really good. So I guess being B Corp, you guys, I was just working out if these are recyclable, and it says find out how to recycle me. So do you recycle these in store? Is it one of those pouches?
Yes. Yeah. And in all truth, it's probably one of the things I put under our biggest challenges. So they can be recycled in store. You clean them out, put the cap back on, and you can recycle them in store. But soft plastics are a bit of a nightmare in truth. So we moved them to a material called MPET this year, which includes our kids' Stuckies, because we found out a 32% lower carbon impact, which is obviously great. But what we really want is for them to be curbside recyclable. That's the state that we must get to. So we work with the recycling body WRAP and the Flexible Plastic Fund, FPF, and we work with lots of packaging industry leaders to get to a material that is easier for consumers and councils and waste companies to collect and recycle curbside. It's particularly difficult to try chilled live yogurt. So other products could go in a fully at-home recyclable material and be fine, but it doesn't work in a chilled, cold environment and live yogurt. The government had also previously announced a target of 2027 for local authorities to collect flexible plastics from curbside. So it's a bit uncertain what's going to happen at the moment, but obviously we want to help hold that, to account. Let's see. But in the meantime, we're working with some very, very innovative packaging suppliers on trials the entire time. At the moment, there's a state-of-the-art technology coming out of a company in China that we've paired with our biggest, manufacturing partner to trial a new substrate. So we just keep going. So watch this space. Yes.
Yeah, it's not easy, is it?
Not straightforward.
Particularly with something chilled and dairy, you really can't have it if it's gone. So it's got to be in something that's going to keep it stable enough for it to last on the shelf long enough for people to come and buy it. And it probably also the factor of it going into a school bag or into a lunchbox, it's got to keep it fresh for as long as possible in that state, hasn't it? And therefore,
absolutely.
Imagining biodegradable pouches and things is the technology even there yet?
Definitely not biodegradable. That'll be the next goal. But as you said, it's a convenience, mess-free mission. And we did do, as I said about, testing, learning fast and failing fast. We did do a test. I think was it January this year? Gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago already, where we tested our kids' brekkie pouches and our Greek style adult pouch, which is now the Uplift one, in a fully curbside recyclable material. And unfortunately, there were just all sorts of leaks and messy spout issues. And so we reverted. And then that's when we actually discovered that MPET had the lower carbon footprint. So we trial live in market, but if it's looking messy or leaky or not great on the shelf, we don't want waste. That would just cause another problem. So yeah, it's exactly that. So work in progress, but
it's a challenge, isn't it? So do you think, has there been any kind of mistakes that the collective have made along the way that we could learn from that you're happy to share?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's probably just a way of working as you go between startup and scale up mode. So I think it's fair to say, because we were, famously, we call ourselves the dairy shaker uppers, but I think everyone knew that was our role. And we launched our gourmet pots and then our Suckies pouches. What we were doing was very, very different to the category. And you can kind of become innovation junkies. And we are completely honest, we did in the early years, just keep throwing stuff to market, and the retailers were there for it. The retailers were completely there for it. But actually, we actually realised, fewer, bigger, better was the mantra that we evolved towards. And also, we're a bit of a funny business. We have two markets, New Zealand and the UK, and we very much realised there are loads of synergies, but there are also some places where the category is in very different contexts, and actually it cannot be a one-size-fits-all. So we had quite a few learnings along those lines, and we now have very, very different, distinct, separate strategies and go-to-market plans. But yeah, absolutely, heaps of learnings, but proudly have navigated out the other side of those ones.
Yeah, and it's part of the journey, isn't it? And what?
Absolutely.
What do you think is that you collectively or your founders, what would be the thing that you're most proud of achieving?
Yeah. So our leading category growth on kids, because we are the small guys. Yeah, leading category growth on kids because of that balance I talked about health and nutrition versus great taste. But also on top of that, we've taken so much sugar out of the category already. I think we've halved the amount of sugar just in our total portfolio alone. But it just went live in the growth. So we're launching into kids pots in the new year. And our mission on that is actually to take about 200 tons of sugar out across all retailers versus the average, weighted volume of sugar in the market. So, obviously we've got workings and assumption about what that would replace, but essentially we're now on a mission just to keep taking so much sugar out of the category without compromising on taste, delivery and the eating experience. So yeah, kids pots coming in 2025. We're hugely excited. And again, it's that continued mission on kids to be, leaders in nutrition, but still great tasting, so that obviously kids want to finish it and have it again. So that's what we'd be proud if we became famous for. Yeah.
So by kids pots, do you mean like a yogurt pot?
Yeah, sorry, yogurt, little 42-gram pots in a 6-pack, but with ours have got additional, I guess, value adds from the shopper's point of view. So there's an immunity one, there's a tummy, gut one, and more to follow. So yeah, it's got all the usual source of calcium, vit D, etc. But then that's our value add as a brand, because we are the premium player in our space. We know that, we have to give something more and differentiate. So that's how we're doing it on these ones.
That's amazing. It's the kind of guilt-free cheat, isn't it? Where you just need to throw something at the children. You should probably have cut up an apple. Let's be honest, that's going to be better. But
yeah,
realistically,
absolutely,
you haven't got time, and the apple often gets flung across the kitchen because that's not what they wanted in that moment. Giving them something they do want. And if it's got, like you say, you called it value add, but it's got those other benefits on there, you can feel a bit less guilty, like, oh, this one's really good for their health. Done.
Yeah, and they're no added sugar, so we really, we're pretty proud of them. They're no added sugar, they're fortified, so yeah, we're really, really proud of them. But it sounds like you exactly know what we're talking about in terms of parenting struggle, and I suppose I'm just trying to equip parents with the best possible option in those moments. Yogurt could be seen as a superfood, and we want to make it the go-to healthy snacking destination now for adults, not just kids. So with that, we feel like the very much burden is on us to continual improvement, which is what we're all about in terms of nutrition. Yeah,
that's amazing. So final question, where can we buy your products? Particularly, where can we buy these new grown-up duckies?
Okay, so best place to go to get those at the moment, new grown-up pouches, is Sainsbury's, simply because they take the full range. Unless, of course, you're dairy-free, in which case pop along to Tesco's.
Okay,
and then the kids' pouches, luckily, they're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Co-op and some of the more convenient stores as well? Yes.
You might have less flavour choice, but they are there.
Amazing. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Tor. It's been really interesting talking to you about the whole range and where you're going with it in the future.
Thank you, Jo. It's been awesome chatting to you, and I've loved our conversation. I feel like we could chat for a few more hours.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Tor. Great to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure you taste the rebellion.